everybody. Welcome to Mindfulness with AOD. I'm Kaylin. I'm the graduate assistant for the Alcohol and Other Drug Services here at Grand Valley State University. We are here to provide a space of reflection, of intervention tools, and learning how to be creative with our substance use. So let's get started. First, let's talk about being reflective. It's important to ask yourself, why are you using? That is one of the most fundamental questions and first things you should ask before you engage in substance use. Your intention behind your use can drastically change the long-term effects you might experience. If you're using to cope with negative emotions or with mental health concerns, you're eventually going to become used to that, and you might develop a dependency and not have those natural coping skills. So it's always important to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing it because I want to, because it's fun, or am I doing it because I feel bored or because everybody else is doing it? Which, by the way, not everybody is using substances. So let's talk about intention and some of the alternatives. Here are 5 of the most common intentions we see behind substance use. Are you feeling bored? Well, try a new activity. Be creative. Are you having trouble sleeping? Meditate or do some before bed stretching. If you're struggling with your sleep, using substances before bed actually prevents you from going into REM cycle, which is the important cycle for rejuvenation and for memory processing. You're actually sleeping worse on substances. Are you having a hard time focusing? Instead of picking up that Adderall, get up and move your body around or give your brain a break. And yes, I know sometimes as college students you might think, a break? What's that? It's okay to not think for 5 minutes and to just shut your brain off. Are you trying to cope with sadness? Have a dance party or watch a funny movie. Whatever will put a smile on your face. Are you feeling isolated, alone, especially during this time of COVID and all the restrictions? Try a virtual game night. Do a group FaceTime call. And there are also safe group activities. It's important to find alternatives to substance use when you're trying to deal with some of these emotions. And this information is not just for you, it's for you to share with your friends and your family and people who you might see as using substances for the wrong reasons. Now, I can give you tools and information on how to be reflective for yourself and how to manage your use, but what about other people? How do you support others? Well, first, let's just acknowledge that everybody struggles. Whether they've been tempted to use substances in an unsafe way, maybe you've used substances in an unsafe way, maybe you've struggled with dependency or know someone who has. We've all been impacted by substance use in different ways at some point. You as students are the most influential people on campus. Staff and faculty, we provide the support, but at the end of the day, students have the most influence and have the loudest voices, and you are the most helpful to your peers. So lend a helping hand because it can really change everything. So what do I look for? How do I know someone's struggling? Well, when talking about long-term dependency or addiction, everyone acts differently, but there are some major things to look for, like change of personality. Maybe they are having mood swings, or maybe they seem unengaged. Maybe they don't have motivation like they used to. Change of priority. Perhaps they don't schedule classes for Friday mornings because they know that they're going to get drunk Thursday night. Or maybe you always have to spot them for rent, but they always have just enough to purchase marijuana. Or change in relationships. Are they removing themselves from the group? Are they isolating themselves? Maybe if you bring up some of these concerns, they are very defensive and they cut you off. These things are all indicative of a long-term problem. Take notes of these observations and make sure that what you're observing and what you're taking note of is stuff that's directly impactful to you. Don't bring up things that you've heard this person do or the rumors that are spreading around. Take note of things you've directly observed. So you have this information, you've taken these notes. What do you do with it? Well, have a conversation. Sometimes the right choice may seem the hardest, and this is true with intervention. sometimes it's uncomfortable, and sometimes you are dreading having this conversation, but this conversation could completely change someone's life. If you're having a hard time, maybe you don't know how to have a conversation, or you want someone to help facilitate it, use our office. AOD, we are trained to help people navigate these conversations. OSCAR, the Office of Student Conduct and Conflict Resolution, offers conflict resolution meetings and has staff that are trained to help mediate difficult conversation. Housing staff are also trained in mediation. There are tons of resources. You can use faculty. You can use various other offices on campus. They're there to help you with these conversations if you're not feeling comfortable doing it by yourself. And maybe you don't want us to have the conversation for you, but you just want to come in and get some tools. How do I talk to someone? What are some, these are things I've witnessed. What should I bring up? That's what we're here for. Here are some other tips. Now, keep in mind, sometimes you're going to have to intervene in one moment, in one night where things are getting a little crazy. It might not be intervening because someone has an addiction. It might be intervening because someone's binge drinking and they're overdosing, or maybe someone is getting very aggressive because they took a drug. There are a lot of things you can do in those moments to intervene and to potentially save someone's life. Always be supportive. Always keep in mind that there are often other reasons to unsafe use other than that person just doesn't care. We just talked about alternatives to deal with certain intentions behind your use, whether it's boredom or sadness or isolation. Oftentimes there's a root problem that might lead to someone binge drinking or using a substance unsafely or repeatedly. So be a friend and be supportive and show that you're concerned. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to cause a distraction. Ask them to leave the party to go get a snack, or maybe to hang out, or, hey, I don't feel comfortable going home by myself. Do you want to come with me? Whatever you can do in that moment, because sometimes in the moment is not the time to have a conversation. Sometimes the conversation is going to have to wait till that person's sober. So what can you do in the moment to keep that person safe? Ask for help. If you're not comfortable doing it or doing it by yourself, ask someone to come with you. We call 911, get an RA, ask a coach, ask another teammate, ask a friend to help. And then encourage responsible behavior. To be preventative, take away keys, or have a plan in place for where you're going to stay the night, or where you're going to go, or how you're going to get there. Do all of that stuff beforehand so that it's easier to intervene when things happen, and it's easier to predict what might happen. And then there are certain things that you can do to have a conversation. Again, it's best to wait till someone's sober, but this is a little chart here on the right, and it's the steps about how to have a conversation with someone who's been using substances unsafely. The first step is I care, and then I see, I feel, listen, I want, and I will. So first, tell that person you care that the reason you're having this conversation with them, or that the reason you're intervening, is because you want them to be safe. Next, talk about things you see. Don't talk about things you've heard. Don't talk about things that you think they may have done. It's what you've witnessed as negatively impactful on that person or on yourself. Next, you feel. You feel that this could be dangerous or could cause a lot of risk. You feel like maybe there's something else going on. You feel sad that this is happening. Then listen. Again, there's often another reason behind that person's substance use. Oftentimes it is not just, oh, I just don't care. Then I want to help you. I want you to succeed in this goal. I want you to be able to overcome this. So what will you do? I will cut you off after 2 drinks next time we go out. I will go with you to AOD. I will go with you to counseling center to help you set up a counseling appointment. These are important steps to having a conversation and really helping someone resolve their use. And again, don't be afraid. You don't have to do it alone. Utilize those resources that are provided to you. Now let's talk about being aware, especially during the case of an emergency. We're not going to watch this video together because this is asynchronous, but this documentary that you see, it's called Breathe, Nolan, Breathe. It's about a student at West Virginia University who died from alcohol poisoning. And in this context, it happened to be a fraternity brother, but these kinds of incidents happen to anybody, regardless of their student organization, regardless of their age, regardless of even if they're a college student. People overdose on alcohol and other drugs more often than more often than not, and it's sad. And there's a lot of things we can do to try and intervene in those situations and potentially save someone's life. So it's important to know the signs of an emergency and remember that not all heroes wear capes. It's important for you to intervene and be that person's hero, because by intervening, you could be changing someone's life and possibly saving it. So what are the signs of an overdose? Now, I made a little chart here. Overdoses often look similar despite substances. Some have unique characteristics, and this chart, these signs are not listed in order of importance or in order of occurrence. I just wanted to provide a way for you to be able to see all of the different signs that there are. Alcohol, I want to touch on because vomiting is very normalized in alcohol culture. That's not safe. It's not healthy. If you're throwing up because of alcohol consumption, it's because of alcohol overdose. You have alcohol poisoning. And I want to bust that myth that, oh, if you throw up, it makes you more sober. That's not true. Alcohol's in your blood, and it's not in your stomach. So please, if someone's throwing up from alcohol, please get help. Please call 911 and get that person medical attention. There are other signs, such as seizures, turning blue, slow heart rate. For marijuana, there's often paranoia, hallucinations, loss of memory. It's easy to say, oh, they're just paranoid, just leave them be. If they're, having intense paranoia or panic attacks, it's time to call for some help. And, the worst thing you can do is assume that they're fine and then they don't wake up in the morning. Let the medical professionals and the police come and determine what is needed. For hallucinogens like acid or shrooms, an overdose can look like massive panic attacks or anxiety, seizures, confusion, a lot of disorientation, rapid heart rate. Sedatives like ketamine or Xanax might result in difficulty breathing, shock, slow heart rate, and then stimulants like cocaine, for example, seizures, psychological distress, high body temperature. It's easy to write these things off as, minor, or it's a rare thing. Please, if any of these symptoms occur, just call 911. And I know you might be worried. Hey, I have to call 911. Well, there are laws to protect you in place. The amnesty law, it's a state law. 37 states, including Michigan, have an amnesty policy. It basically means that if you call 911 to get someone medical attention, even if you've been using substances illegally, you will not be charged with possession. So you have to call 911. It can't be an RA calling 911. It can't be a coach calling 911. It has to be you calling 911. Let's say I'm in a room with 5 people and I'm overdosing and one person calls 911, but the other people are making sure I stay responsive. They're making sure that I'm sitting upright. They're trying to keep me talking, trying to get me some water just to keep me alert and hydrated. We would all be granted amnesty. It only takes one person to call 911, but everybody else was seeking to my immediate medical needs until the medical professionals got there. And this law covers you for possession of any kind, whether it's an MIP for alcohol or marijuana, maybe you've been using an illicit substance like cocaine. Call 911. And I can't reiterate this enough. In the case of a medical emergency, or if you have any doubt that there's a medical emergency going on, just call. And I am going to be cheesy and say, who are you going to call? And no, it's not Ghostbusters. Call 911. So now that we've talked about how to be aware, we've talked about being reflective, we've talked about supporting your friends, but at the end of the day, we're in a really weird time right now, and it's easier said than done to say, oh, don't use substances because you're bored. Intervene, with your friends. All this stuff, it's easier said than done. We live in a crazy world right now, and I understand that a lot of people might be feeling isolated and alone or bored or sad. But this is the perfect time to expand your branches and try new things. Instead of drinking or smoking, try a new craft. Maybe try cooking a new cuisine. Or if you're not a big cook at all, try cooking anything. Try outdoor activities. Maybe you haven't gone sledding since you were a child. I know it's winter right now and it might be really cold. In the spring, getting outside and going for a walk. In the summer, going to the beach. There's so many different alternatives. Try virtual events. So many companies and social media engines and everything have been working so hard to provide virtual platforms so people can stay connected. And there's so much. There's so much more. What it comes down to is staying connected. Not just to your friends and family, staying connected to the resources on campus, to your community services, AOD, counselors, coaches, faculty, OMA, or the Office of Multicultural Affairs, the LGBTQ Center, the housing staff. We're all here for you. We are all Lakers, and we are all here to support each other. We're all struggling, and we all want you to be safe. So stay connected. Do what you can to support others and ask for help. It's okay. I can say now more than ever, I am absolutely proud to be a Laker for a lifetime because of the actions I've seen from this community to be supportive of each other and to encourage safety. And I just want to say I'm very proud of you, Lakers, and we're going to get through this. Stay supportive, ask for help, and stay positive. Thank you. Bye-bye.